Good evening, or good morning, or good afternoon, or whenever you're watching it. Welcome to another episode of Airtime John in conversation with, and tonight I've got Mark Bell from the NHS Life Rooms. How are you doing, Mark?
I'm good, thanks, John. It's great to be here and be a guest on your podcast.
Nice one, nice one. Like, what I will say from the very start is that me and Mark are like best mates. We go back years and years, but we'll talk on that in a moment. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to get someone on. With these shows, I want to try and like touch on different things every week. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll know that I've suffered all my adult life with mental health issues, mental health disorders, anxiety, so many different things. And it's such a subject that's close to my heart that as soon as I thought about doing one on mental health, the first person I thought of was Mark to come on. Because Mark, as I said, works for the NHS. He's got, experience himself with mental health. Not him. Well, he might do. I don't know. But, within the family, friends, me, he's been there for me over the years. So I'll pass it over to you, Mark. What is the key to beating mental health? No, I'm joking. That was too deep. That was a joke. I was gonna say, can you cure mental health? Go. No. So, Mark, why don't we start off with, if you just tell people like what your job is at the moment, like what do you do?
Yeah. So I work for an organisation, as John says, called the Life Rooms, which is actually an NHS-run organisation, but it's quite a unique setup, really, because it's not your normal run-of-the-mill NHS service. We're actually a non-clinical service that lies within the NHS. So what I mean by non-clinical is, it's not like your traditional setup where doctors and nurses are working there. We're like a community hub, and the idea is we offer a safe space for people. Where our buildings are in unique settings. So we've got a library we're on the High Street up in Southport. We're in a further education college. We have set up some pop-up sites in a theatre, the Everyman Playhouse Theatre. We're sort of, but it's a safe place for people to come, and we offer people opportunities, and you don't have to have a diagnosis. Although we're NHS, anyone can attend our service, can attend our buildings.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, it's open to anyone. Big part of our sort of model. I don't want to get into the terms too much. I want to try to keep it as formal as possible. But a big part of our model is community, and that's our local communities where we're based. So we're in like the Walton area and Bootle area, what people may say are deprived areas, and we're there for the community and the wider community. Traditionally, we were a mental health trust, and a big part of what we offer is around mental health. But as I say, anyone can come, because you don't. We'll talk about diagnosis and that, but everyone has mental health. It's not just sort of, like we all have physical health. Everyone has mental health. Just sometimes we have different severities. People might be suffering more, like we do with our physical health. So anyone can come. People might be socially isolated, they might want to come and use our service. I can go into a little bit more detail as the chat goes on, sort of telling what we actually offer, but I don't want to just to be a big spiel as well, like about the life room,
It's actually interesting what you said there, mate, because you said about it being, a free service for everyone and anyone. Now, I actually didn't know that. I thought that it was like sort of you had to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Not prescribed it.
Referred.
Yeah, that's the one. Referred from your doctor. So that's like something that I actually genuinely wasn't aware of.
Yeah. We're just public buildings, but the first building we got is a library. We took basically Walton Library was going to close down, and Merseycare as a trust basically offered the council to take over the building, and the idea was the local community didn't want to lose the library, so the trust said, we'll take over that building, we'll keep the library open, we'll put a cafe in there, so the local sort of residents residents, the local community can come and attend, and also we'll run our service from there, which is mental health sort of session. Well, at the time, it's mental health sessions, but our service, I will talk a lot about mental health in this podcast. Is about mental health, but our service is about general well-being as well. You know, supporting people's well-being in general. Physical health and mental health, they go side by side. So we offer a lot of physical health sessions, fitness sessions, cooking sessions, you know, around healthy eating. You know, we have a lot of social events. You know, we work with the Everyman Playhouse Theatre, who deliver drama. We do the Philharmonic Orchestra, music sessions, dance sessions by movement. Anyone and everyone. Well, we've got hundreds of partners who work with us, and you know, I'm going on a lot about the learning sessions that we offer. You know, but there's all different aspects what we do. You know, but again, we can talk about this as the sort of. I was gonna say session.
The session.
I actually, because part of my job is delivering sessions. So I deliver a lot of these courses that I'm talking about or going to be talking about, but we call them sessions. So that's why I was going to call it a session then.
No, I get it. And again, I just, the way that you said then about, you know, not just delivering sort of the news about mental health, and actually that's something I always get confused about. Because many people, you'll hear them say, oh, I've got mental health. Do you know what I mean? But what they actually mean is poor mental health, don't they? You know, because as you said, everyone's got mental health. That's what's sort of in us. That's our, you know, but it's when you're suffering with your mental health as opposed to just having mental health. But it's, you know, that's just sort of the way people word it, isn't it? It's like, I always feel like I've got to be very careful now, you know, like with like the way you phrase things. Do you often find that people come in and they're not sure how to articulate stuff?
Yeah, most definitely. And even myself, someone who works within mental health, I'll still say things like, God, that's mad, that, or oh, that's crazy, that. And then you think, actually, should I be saying that? Because I work within mental health, and they're terms that people might use as derogatory terms. So, but you know, I suppose by sort of normalizing the talk of it, we're reducing the stigma, you know, and they're just words, really, aren't they?
Exactly, I mean?
Words have developed through the ages, and you know, all words mean different things now. So, you know, I think you know, without sort of going off subject, but it's like now the young people will say things like, "Ah, that's sick, that." But to me, sick is being sick, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? First time I heard that was when I worked in the kids' homes, and one of the kids said something like, "Oh, that's sick, that," and I was like, "What? You sick? Are you gonna vomit?" And I just didn't get it. But yeah,
that's it, isn't it? Like,
so, but you do sometimes sort of tread on eggshells, I think. But you know me from old, John. You know I've got a habit to put my foot in it and saying the wrong thing, even at the best of times. So
he really has. If anyone's going to put the foot in it, it'll be Mark. But on a serious point, like Mark is like one of the funniest, most down to earth people that you'll ever meet. Now, if someone would have said to me, I'll go into this in a moment how we met, but if someone would have said to me like 20 years ago that he would be doing the job that he's doing now, I would call them crazy. Do you know what I mean? Because with no disrespect, Mark, like you are such like a joker. Well, you still are, but if anything, I think that's what's made you so amazing at this job, because you bring like a real sense of humor to it. Like I just know, I can imagine you with like, you know, the people that you work with at the life rooms, and humor's a massive thing, isn't it? Like I know that you're a big advocate about like the use of humor with you work with people who suffer.
Oh, most definitely, mate. We, you know, with part of our sort of courses, we've had stand-up comedy courses on and everything, and a lot of people who come into them courses, they'll do their act around when they've been unwell, you know. So, you know, one that comes to mind was a guy who was suffering with psychosis, and his act was all around like, you know, the psychotic symptoms he had, and like I looking back in hindsight, like he can now see the funny side of it. And I think we've got to look at the sort of that side of things, you know, and I do bring a lot of humor into my sessions. It's one of the things that I think we need to do to help us with our sort of mental health, is inject a bit of silliness into our lives, and, you know, not take life too serious, because, you know, as we grow up and we're adults, you know, we've got to be more serious. We've got to pay the bills. We've got to sort of go to work, do the jobs, and we forget about them sort of little bits of silliness that make the world go round. Really, you know, I don't
100%,
know.
yeah.
People saying laughter's the best medicine, but I do truly believe in that. But I also think I'm going to sort of flip the coin a bit. God, who's Tom? I was going to call you Tom then.
Airtime Tom,
John.
who actually exists? Airtime Tom. Tom, you were nearly getting sued. That's all I'm saying.
And is he like a local roller coaster expert, enthusiast?
Enthusiast,
Is
yeah.
he a local? Yeah.
I don't know. I just seen him on Twitter, Airtime Tom, and I went, okay, little bit close that Tom. Watching.
Well, what I was going to say anyway, you talk about comedy and sort of having a laugh and that. I think one thing that I've sort of done in the past is mask behind that, Dom. You know, and I think you have as well, John. You know, like,
yeah.
You know, I think we'll talk about this later on. But sometimes, like you saying, then, oh, Mark's one of the funniest people, and you know, he makes you laugh and down to there. But sometimes, say you have a social event or something like that, sometimes you have that mindset going in. Oh God, I've got to perform here.
Yeah.
Can you relate to that? Can you yourself?
100%, mate. Yeah, 100%. It's like I've told you many times. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
For me, it's hard, like when you're doing a podcast like this, because like you just said, oh, we can touch on this later, but I guarantee if we don't touch on it now, we'll forget later, or we'll go on to something else. So it's a great point, mate, because it's like me. I have basically, for like the first part of my adult life, I had this persona. I've spoken on it on the channel before, but I had this persona which was like me hiding behind this really confident character, this larger than life guy, this life and soul of the party. And while it was true, it was very much a character for a while. You know, it was very much a character. Inside, I wanted to just hide away in the corner. And, you know, the anxiety that I used to go through was horrific. And yeah, it's definitely something what people do. I've now found that I'm quite, because I'm so open about my like, you know, issues with mental health, with my mental health, is that now I can be so honest about it. I own it essentially, because I don't feel ashamed now saying to anyone, listen, I'm having a really bad day with my mental health. I'm sorry I can't speak on the phone, or, you know, I'm sorry I'm not really chatty today, you know. But once you say it, it actually like alleviates the pressure from your mind.
Definitely. I think what you've just said there about owning it is one of the keys anyway. You know what we call it, like expert by experience. We're all the experts of our own experiences. We're all the experts of our own mental health. And that's why I think mental health services have moved on so much over the years, because I think in the past, a lot of mental health services was, we'll tell you what's good for your mental health.
Yeah.
But now services like the life rooms, and I'm going on about the life rooms, but there's a lot of other great services around. But services like that are now saying to the people who use their service, we call them members. We don't call them service users, but we call them members of the life rooms. We say to them, what do you want? What's going to improve your well-being? What's going to improve your quality of life?
Yeah.
And I think that's how mental health services have improved. I used to work for another team, but I know I think you're going to ask me about how I've ended up in this job, but I used to work for another team called the Early Intervention and Psychosis team, and it was basically supporting people with psychosis. And part of their sort of model of ensuring people become well, they took like an holistic view. So it's not just sort of, oh, you're suffering with your mental health, you're having psychotic symptoms, here's some antipsychotics. They worked with family members, they worked with sort of social aspects of their life. So what caused that person to become psychotic? They asked the service users, what's going to help you? Where do you want to be? And that was where my role came in. My role was called a support time recovery worker. So I suppose a best way of describing it is sort of like a support worker, but you work quite intensely with someone. So improve someone's quality of life. Their goal might be to go back to college or to go back to work. So I'd be working with them to hit that goal. But it's not. But it wouldn't just be as easy as, oh, you want a job? Let's go down a job centre. Because people might have, due to the psychosis, they may now have no confidence whatsoever. They may sort of, not be able to go into the group and talk. So it's like rebuilding some people. And not everyone was different, but it was sort of like rebuilding them sort of them social skills before getting them onto the next stage. Does that make sense, does it?
It does, mate. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And I think I can speak for you. I won't, because I'll ask you to. But you said then about building confidence back up and stuff like that. Now, me and Mark actually met many years ago in 2003. I want to say 2000. Was it 2003 or
2004? 2004, I think, mate. Yeah.
Now, as you might know,
hang on, let me just check my diary. The 12th of May, 2004.
I wouldn't be surprised. He's absolutely, he idolizes me, this lad. Idolizes me.
I thought you were going to say, wouldn't be surprised. He's got a great memory, but no, he idolizes me.
No, we actually met. I used to work in an airport, Liverpool Airport, and I'd done acting when I was a kid. So I thought, I'll give acting a go as a career. And that was how we met. We were doing a HND, Higher National Diploma in Theatre. So that was where we met, wasn't it? So what's been your progression from then, being an actor, to doing what you're doing now?
I will answer that, but I remember it was an audition when we first met. It was the first day you'd actually come to the college, and I will answer that. I refuse to answer that question until I talk about this. Mate, if you remember, you come for the audition, and I'm a big believer in vibes of people. And I remember you sort of, without going into the nitty gritty, we were doing drama activities, and I think one of them was something like, name something that you really enjoy or whatever. It was like improv, and I'd said something about, I love comedy and blah, blah, blah. And then I think you were next, and you went, oh my God, I was going to say the exact same thing there about comedy and blah, blah, blah. And I think we had a little chat about comedy, and I just got a good vibe from you, and was like, he's very similar to me, and like our humor is very similar, isn't it? Yeah, and then I think that after the audition, we'd only just met. Normally you go to an audition, after the audition, and you go home, don't you? And I don't know what it was, but it was like me and one of the lads who I knew were going for like a beer afterwards, and we said to you, do you want to come for a beer with us? And it was just like, do you remember that?
Yeah.
We'd only just met. We had a few, I remember the pub, it was called Kiss the Red. And it was £1 a bottle, if you remember. Yeah. And we went down, had a few bottles and that. And I think we shared, swapped numbers then. And then it was like, you text, how did you get on? And I got a place on a course I did. And we sort of just went from there early, didn't we? Like texting each other prior to the course, and it was a great friendship. Like it was. It was.
He hates me now, but that YouTube's gone to his head.
You've got too big for your boots now, airtime, John. I remember you when you were just John.
He was horrible. Hated him. But so then, what happened from there? So obviously, like, we left. I went off to drama school. Tell me how you got into mental health work.
Okay, well, so it is a bit of a long story. Is this a 5-part of this? No, it's a long story, but I'll try to be a bit quicker.
You've got 17 minutes left.
It feels weird, this, because you know me progression, but again, I've got it. Yeah, so the college that we went to when we done the HND, if you remember at the time, from the acting point of view, it was either I wasn't good enough to be an actor, or what I like to tell people is I didn't like the brown nosing side of it, really, going to plays, the network, and I didn't really like that aspect of it. And
just to interrupt you, what does brown nosing mean?
Kissing up to directors. So I didn't enjoy that aspect of it. And as you know, John, part of the course that we'd done like directing and like community stuff. And I did think I had a bit of a skill in leading workshops and running sessions and stuff. So I was actually asked to go back as a tutor and work with the lower level students. And the college actually put me on a teaching qualification course and stuff. So I'd done that for about 12 months, 18 months working in the college. Yeah. And it was around the time of Liverpool, the capital of culture. So a good friend of ours, Steve Aisley, he'd sort of gone the same path, and he'd had a little, was that like a thumbs up to Steve? I don't think he watches, John. I don't think he knows what YouTube is, does he?
I know he doesn't watch. His missus does, though.
Airtime Tony, John, who's John? No, you could imagine him, couldn't you? Yeah, just yeah. So we started our own company. It was called Direct Impact Drama, and we started running like workshops for youth organisations. We've done corporate work and stuff, and because it was the capital of culture, we were actually doing really well. We were getting loads of jobs. It was like loads of funding was in Liverpool for things like this, so we were doing workshops across the sort of city council, and that went on for about 18 months. But then obviously the capital culture died down, and so did the funding. By this point, we were working with kids with behavioural problems, and things like that. So I just sort of by accident fell into working with kids who sort of had difficult backgrounds, and I ended up going to work in a kids' home over in the Wirral, and I absolutely loved that job. It was a therapeutic kids' home, so it was quite intense. Working with kids who have had really bad backgrounds, kids in care, and I loved it. I ended up getting promoted there and becoming the night shift manager, and it was all going good. But because it was therapeutic, I don't want to get too political, but the cost of sending a young person to our home, that was quite like sort of intense. We had social workers who worked on site. We had therapists who worked on site and stuff. And because of the cost to keep that up, we were a non-profit organisation, but the local boroughs would rather send the young people to a sort of run-of-the-mill kids home where it saved them a lot of money. So I ended up, cut a long story short, the home shut down, and I was made redundant. And it was at that point I'd always had an interest in mental health, and then working with some of the young people who I worked with who had sort of quite diverse and sort of difficult backgrounds, and part of that was mental health. I thought I'd really want to get into mental health. I'd always sort of fancied a job in the NHS as well, and I went for a job with Merseycare. Working in a mental health hospital, which went into well,
you froze there for a moment.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. We're back.
Okay. I started working in a hospital called Stoddard House, which I was like a nursing assistant there, and I've done that for a good while. I really enjoyed that job actually, and for some reason I wasn't actively looking for a new job, but I seen this job for the STR worker, the support worker, and the early intervention and psychosis, and I'd worked with some patients who had psychosis. I was interested in that, but the job role was sort of, I felt it suited my skill set. It was actually like working with people in the recovery. It was quite therapeutic, using all different skills. So I thought, well, I'll just go for that and see what happens. And I ended up getting that job working in the community mental health. And I loved that job. I don't know, sort of, it was a brilliant job. And it was through that job I actually found the Life Rooms. It was a new service that Merseycare started, and I started taking people. They initially had like a film group that I started taking a group of people to, and then it was called Journeys Through Film, and we used to take. I used to take quite a few of the people I was supporting there, and I seen through that it was something quite a simple idea, watching a film, but I took lads there who they struggled just saying like the name in groups when they met people, and I seen them go from that and attending this group after only a couple of sessions to discussing a film afterwards. And then one of the lads in particular, he started leading the discussions after a couple of months. And
really?
Anyway, so just these little things, it can be anything, that can sort of get someone reeled in to build that confidence. The Life Rooms then opened the actual site that they had up in Walton, and I started taking people there quite a lot. It's a lovely place, nice to go for a coffee. And I was approached one day by one of the managers there who said, like, thanks for bringing all the services you're bringing. So they used to have open days there, and they used to actually offer free coffee on them open days. So all the people who I supported, I had about 15 or 20 people on my caseload. I used to say to them all, come for a coffee morning, free coffee. We'll meet up with everyone and we'll have a laugh. And then when we get up there, they'd see all the activities going on and say, oh, I'll sign up for that. I'll sign up for that. So for me, taking them there, it was just a nice place to go. And obviously, as you know, if people are struggling with a sort of diagnosis like psychosis, they might not be able to work. So just going for something as simple as a coffee
Yeah.
you mightn't be able to afford, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
going there for a free coffee. So anyway, this manager said to me, you know, thanks for bringing all the people that you're bringing here. Said we've actually got a few jobs going here, but you'd actually need a teaching qualification, which I had from when I was a drama teacher.
Yeah.
So I said, well, funny enough, I've got one of them, and that was it. Then I started working in the life rooms about 3.5 years ago. And then I think about a year afterwards, I was promoted to manager there. So I managed the learning team up in Sefton there. So
Wow.
that's how I've sort of ended up in it. But I'm very lucky to be in the job, John. You know, you
Yeah.
talk about sort of, you know, what's good for your mental health and stuff. For me, having a safe place and to talk to people about it on a daily basis, that's like therapy for me. I'm getting it all the time, and you
Yeah.
know,
100%.
you know yourself, and when you run like you know when you run workshops and stuff like that, you know, in this environment, although I'm facilitating the session, I'm learning as much off everyone else who's around that table.
Yeah.
It's just I'm so lucky to do the job, to be honest,
Yeah.
and I believe in it. I do. I've seen people how people come into these type of sessions, how it's just improved their
Yeah.
well-being and changed their life around.
I can tell, mate, because I've never seen you like so passionate about something as your job. If I'm honest with you, you know, apart from the ale, you know, a pint. But but you've just said two things there which really pinged out to me. You said about the film group, which was like, you know, it just brought people together. It enabled you to reach people on a different level, a more informal level, and it allowed them to then, you know, get their thoughts out about what they thought about the film. I've often thought that creativity on any level is amazing for mental health. You know, whether it be, you know, meeting up with like-minded people in our community, the roller coaster community. There's a massive, you know, load of people that suffer with poor mental health, and we'll touch on that in a moment. But then you also said as well about you know, it might be the first time that they were able to be open about things. And you prompted me because I remember the first time I was diagnosed with, you know, depression and anxiety. And it seems so long ago now that I don't know how to word this, but it was such a knock to my world, because suddenly someone was telling me that, like, you know, yeah, this is why you're feeling the way you've been feeling most of your life. It's an actual condition. Like, do you think people actually struggle to come to terms with that sometimes?
I don't know, because for everyone's different, as you know, and some people actually find comfort in that. You know, people find comfort in whatever the diagnosis is. You know, oh well, that's why I'm being like that. You know, like, or why you sort of
Yeah.
may sort of isolate, or I might do this. Yeah, it's a hard question to answer there. I do
I
think
suppose what
people
I mean
sort of.
is, sorry to interrupt you. I suppose what I mean is, it's like, for me, it was a relief because, as
Yeah,
you
yeah,
said,
yeah.
like, you know, it was like suddenly I was like, I get that now. I get that now. I get
Mm.
that now. But a lot of people are so, you know, no, that's not what it is. That's not, and they'll push it away and pretend that that's not the case. You know, do you see a lot of that? Because they're the people that I
Yeah, yeah.
worry
Well,
about more.
I think that's the stigma still, isn't it? And I think
Yeah.
we see it more in sort of the older generation, that sort of mentality of, no, I've not got depression. You know, I think we see it a lot more that we do see it, but I think now
Keep your chin up.
the good thing is, sorry.
Keep your chin up.
Do you know what? I thought you meant me then. I thought you'd see me chins or something. I just realised what you're doing. Yeah, that sort of mentality. Pull yourself together. You know, man up. I
Man
think
up.
that's one of the worst ones,
I
isn't it?
hate that.
Man up. Yeah, I know. But I think nowadays, you know, I know myself from personal experience. Before I come to the life rooms, I used to go around schools doing a workshop around psychosis. And at first, we used to go in with an organisation called the Brook, who offer like sexual health support. Brilliant organisation. And when we went to them and said the idea of, they said, we want someone to come in and talk about mental health. And we said, yeah, well, we can go in and talk about psychosis. And at first, it was like, psychosis, you really? That's quite a sort of specific illness and quite sort of, quite intense, and we were like, well, why would we not go in and talk about that? Why butter sort of, what's the sugarcoat? Why sugarcoat? Why not go in and sort of take the bull by the horns and
Yeah.
tell people, about these illnesses, you know what I mean? So I experienced it there from early on, going in, and you'd be surprised, I used to go in and think, people won't know what psychosis is, these young people. And a lot of them did. It was like they were really clued up on it, and they were like quite, it was normal for them to talk about mental health. Where I'm working now in the life rooms, I work in the Bootle site, which is actually on the campus of UBird College, which is a further education college within Merseyside. And the idea behind that is about early prevention. So it's about normalising, the talk of mental health from that young age. How many? I know you've done it yourself, John. When we were in college, there was never talk about mental health or anything, was there?
No.
And people like, I know I say our generation, we're only in our 30s, aren't we?
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Well, 30s.
I'm hanging on now by the skin of my teeth.
30, yeah.
Yeah,
we're
I'm 30 odd, mate. Just leave it at that. Move on.
But you're talking, what, 10, 15 years ago when we were in college, but, if someone like yourself who was probably suffering at that time, you've had to wait for years, really, before you could start talking about your mental health. But now, like today, I've been around UBird College because it's induction week. I've spoke to 56. I've gone in like 5 different classes today, and I think I totted it up. It was 56 students that I've spoke to just today, delivered a session to. I'm going to be doing that for the next 4 days. So over the next 4 days, I might be speaking to 300 young people and normalising the talk of mental health and saying, do you know what? There's nothing wrong with feeling like this. There's nothing wrong with reaching out. There's nothing wrong about just being open and coming for support. And there's no stigma there or anything. So I think it has changed now. There is,
we talk about generations, don't we? Like you've just said about generations. And one thing I will say about this current generation, the social media generation, is that for all its faults, and it has got many, many faults, it's given people a platform to be able to be able to speak, to be able to seek help without necessarily having to, do that daunting thing of having to go to the doctor straight away. People can research more. People can, even Twitter. I know that a lot of the people that follow me and I follow them from the roller coaster community, I find the young people really inspirational these days, the way that they're so articulate about being able to promote wellness and looking after your mental health.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Even today, just throwaway activities that we do. Let's just talk about things that you do to support your well-being. And they were all just, they were like, rallying off all the things that we'd say to them, like the advice we'd give them. And it's just brilliant to sort of, to hear that and just see that these young people just talk about it as if it was just a normal conversation. And that's what we're striving for, isn't it? That's what we want.
Well, I was going to say to you then, like, you could have a whole 2-hour session planned, and then they all say, well, this is what we do for our mental health issues, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, yeah, okay, but that's everything covered then, guys. See you later.
Yeah. But that happens. That does happen a lot with the sessions that we run, John. We have a lesson plan as if as if we were proper teachers. But a lot of the time, for like say anxiety classes that I run and depression classes, my first activity when people are introducing themselves is I'll say, and this is quite hard if you're suffering with anxiety or depression, but I'll say, just want you to say your name and why you've come here today. And off that back of that first activity, you'll get people who say, well, it's because of the X, Y, or Z. And straight away, you're having them conversations with people. So things that you've got planned for later on this session, you may then have that conversation then, or say, well, actually, we're going to come on to this. But it's a really good point. Because like you said earlier on, like in podcasts, you might say, oh, we'll talk about that later on, and then we'll never get around to it. So sometimes it is strike whilst the iron's hot sort of thing. Yeah, we'll talk about that now. Yeah,
exactly. It's like, it's so easy to forget things. I don't mean in podcasting, I mean like in life, like I think that there's something to be said for spontaneity and saying what's in your head at that time. Because one of the things I always say, and I shout this from the rooftops, it's like, if you're suffering in any way with your mental health, the worst thing you can do is keep it in. And it might be as simple as just texting a mate and saying, "Hey, mate, look, I'm struggling today," or,
Mhm.
do you fancy a coffee or do you fancy a chat? Or the way like the young people do today, they'll tweet it. They'll say, "Oh, I'm
Mhm.
having a really low day today." And then they get support there and then.
Mhm.
And as we
No.
said before, it's sad for people who don't, but hopefully, the work that you're doing at the life rooms, just people taking baby steps and being able to say the name can lead to great things, can't it?
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
definitely.
you
Yeah.
know,
I,
the-
I, I, I I believe in like the sort of we say a domino effect, when things go wrong in life and all your dominoes sort of fall down. But I also believe in like the reverse domino effect. And you just said baby steps. It might start slowly, that domino coming up, but I think as they gradually all start standing up, the dominoes, you start going up quicker and quicker, and
yeah.
you get back to you start baby steps, but that can speed up really quick as well.
Yeah. So like you actually said yourself to me like 3 or 4 years ago when I started the YouTube. I remember you saying to me, I'll never forget it. You went, "John, it's like you've got a new lease of life." So
Yeah, yeah.
what do
Well, I
you
was going to
think?
mention this before,
Was you?
but it was when, yeah, yeah. So when you were struggling with your mental health, I used to tell the lads about you who we used to support. I did used to support girls as well, by the way, but most of the people on my caseload were lads. So when I say the lads, that's what I mean. But some of the lads I used to support it, and I think it was when you sort of you just said one day you were really suffering, and you said like, I'm just gonna go to Alton Towers. I enjoy Alton Towers and going to Alton Towers. I'm just gonna go and do it. And I remember you saying it at the time, and
Yeah.
God rest the soul, your mum. I know you've only just lost me, but I remember you saying, I told my mum I'm just going to Alton Towers, and she was like, "What? On your own? You're going to that?" And it was like you said, it's like she thinks I'm having like a midlife crisis or that.
Yeah.
But to see how you just went to there on your own, and again, that sort of social anxiety, that it just shows you you know, mental health is just the way it comes out in people. It's different for everyone because you do openly admit to suffering from social anxiety, but you had the power or the strength to go to the fairground where, some people might think it's quite claustrophobic, but that was
Mm.
because you knew that was good for you, do you know what I mean? And that you'd get enjoyment out of it. Why
Yeah.
do we
Yeah.
not do things that we enjoy doing? And
I
I
think
think for you, that was the day where you said, "You know what, I'm going to do that." And then you got into the YouTube, and then so not only was you going to the theme parks, and that again, it gave you a bit of a purpose, doesn't it? It gives you
yes.
something to focus your mind on. So, like, I remember when you first started editing your videos, and I think you're quite good at it now. But I think to start with, it'd take you days, wouldn't
Yeah.
it'd take you days, wouldn't it,
Literally
though,
days, yeah.
to edit? But that was actually really good for you at the time because it was probably a time when you were really struggling, with sort of
Yeah.
depression. But that was giving you something to focus on. Because if you weren't doing the YouTube and all going to the Alton Towers, you'd probably just be sat in bed, wouldn't you? Sort of
Oh
doing
yeah,
nothing.
yeah. I mean, I'll never forget the day, mate. It was actually it was Blackpool Pleasure Beach. It was. Yeah, that was the first time, and I remember literally. When people say that they were on the floor with depression, I
Mm,
was literally on the floor. Like I'm not talking metaphorically. I was lying on the floor. Just
mm,
I'd been up. I'd been drinking quite a lot, and I woke up just like I just like took the knock, and I was just lying there on the floor, and I was just thinking, this is crazy. This is nuts. Like you can either do something positive, or you
mm.
can just carry on like this and never get any better. And I'd been diagnosed with depression for many years at that point. It's not as if like that was a new thing, but I remember thinking I need something here because being an actor is tough as well. As you know, we won't go into that. It's
Mm.
not a podcast about that, but being an actor is tough because you're constantly uncertain about your future. You're uncertain about paying your bills. You're uncertain where your next job's coming from. You're full of rejection,
Mm.
time after time after time. It takes incredible resilience to be an actor or any creative. But I remember thinking, what would make me happy right now? Never forget having that thought. What would make me
Mm.
happy today? And I always used to go to the theme parks once a year. And I thought, I love going, but my mates will only go once. My partner will only go once a year. That's not enough. So I remember thinking, I'd love to go on the fair today. So I went, I'm going to go. And you know, before I'd even like had a chance to panic and have a panic attack and back out of it, I was halfway down the M62.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And that's sometimes, because sometimes if you were thinking about it and planning it, you'd probably talk yourself out of it. So that is the right thing. Just
yeah,
sometimes it is. A phrase we used to throw at each other was, "I throw caution to the wind," and
mm,
and that is the idea of throwing caution to the wind. Just going back a bit, to make a bit light of the situation. Now, you did used to love going to the theme park, and I know I've been a few times with you, but not that he's dated. Well, he did. He used to date quite a lot of people, but every time you started dating a girl, that'd be the
yes.
first date, wouldn't it? That'd be the first date that you'd have. Oh, do you want to come to Alton Towers? I remember we used to have a bit of a joke. Oh God, another girlfriend, another trip to Alton Towers.
It's the only people that would go with me was dates. No, honestly, it was the best thing I ever done. It really was, because not only did it introduce a new hobby, it introduced a new hobby in the YouTubing, which then led on to friends, which
Yeah,
then,
yeah, yeah.
as in turn, led on to me partner, Kirsty. You know,
Exactly, yeah.
it's nuts how making a proactive choice to better your health can have such, as you said, a reverse domino effect.
Mm. Exactly, mate.
Yeah,
And it's that who'd think that a theme park had changed someone's life so much, but it's that thing again, like what I said about that film group. It could just be that one little thing, but it opens a load of more doors to you.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
And it is and I love stories like that. You know,
yeah.
it could be anything, and that's what I used to say to the people that when you'd first go into the theme parks. I'd say like when they'd say stuff like, "Oh, I'm really enjoying that," but you know. I've got no one to go with, or I don't think I could go. And I'd use you as an
I used
example.
to give them
My
my
mate,
phone number.
well, I didn't. That'd be unprofessional, John. But I used to say follow him on YouTube because I remember you wanted. That was in the day when you wanted more subscribers.
I still do. Been going 10 years now. No, yeah, it was an amazing thing, and I'm sure, like, if many more, I'm not saying theme parks, but I'm saying, hobbies are a massive thing, aren't they, for mental health, like good mental
Yeah,
health,
yeah.
as is exercise. Like, because I know that you promote like running, don't you? You do a bit of running yourself for your mental health and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I know, like, I know you're on a bit of a weight loss journey yourself now. I'm
Well,
similar,
well,
but I,
before you start,
oh yeah, I've seen it before on your video. Yeah, well done, mate. A
nice one.
stone, well done.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'm like you myself. I'm a bit of a yo-yoer. You know, I go up and down with my weight, and I've flirted with the gym for many years. Is that the right term? Flirt with the yeah. So I joined the gym. I'll do the gym for a couple of months, and then I'll fall off the wagon, as I call it. And it was during lockdown then, because of the gym's closing and that. And I was like, the first couple of months, as everyone, I was eating loads, and I was just doing no exercise at this time.
yeah.
And I was like, I've got to do something. What can I do? There's no swimming pools open. There's no, and I just started the Couch to 5K. And it's a brilliant app. It's the NHS version that I use. And if you start off, I think week one, you run for like you do the 25 minutes, half an hour, but I think the first week you run for a minute and then walk for 2 or 3, run for a minute, walk, and you gradually build, and then
Yeah.
by week 9 I think you're doing a half an hour run. And I've just, again, I do fall off the wagon frequently, but I do, like, at the moment I think I've been back jogging for about a month to 6 weeks, and I'm at the state now. I do like I do about 3 or 4 runs a week. I like to do it first thing in the morning. So I do before work, and I do about 6K a day when I do it, and
Yeah.
then sometimes at the weekends I'll do a lot more. So I'll do about 10, 12K. I'm
I was
aiming to get to the 15K soon, but it's bossing. I'm sorry, John. I'll just say this: the frustrating thing for me is I know the benefits of it when I'm running. My mindset's a lot clearer. I'm not negative thinking as much. I'm all or not on me. So when I'm
yeah.
when I'm jogging, I'll eat healthier, so I'm eating healthier, and then my sleep's a lot better because I'm having that routine. When I'm jogging, I go to bed about 10 o'clock, and I get up at 6, so that's like, or half 5, 6. So I'm having a good 7.5, 8 hours sleep.
Yeah.
Whereas normally, when I'm not jogging, I'll go to bed at midnight, 2 o'clock, and I'll get up at like half 6. So I'm only getting 4 hours, and it'll be broken sleep as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I see the benefit of it. But I think with me, what happens is if I have a holiday or a week off, or there's a special event, I'll fall off the wagon for a few days, and then I find it hard to motivate myself to get back into it. So I'll say things like, "Oh, it's Wednesday. I might as well wait till Monday before I start jogging again." And then something might happen on Monday. Might wake up and I've got pains or that. Oh, I'll go tomorrow. Something happens Tuesday. Next minute, you've missed 2 weeks of jogging. Then you've missed 3 weeks of jogging.
Yeah.
Next minute, you've gone weeks without it, and you feel like, obviously I never start from the beginning again, but once I start running again after about a 4 or 5 week period of not running, I've got to build my stamina back up again as well.
Yeah.
So it is
why do we do
frustrating.
it? Why do we do it, Mark? I mean, I'm not asking for an answer here, because you'd be a wealthy man if you had it. But why do we do that? Because I'm the same. It's like I've been doing this weight loss and health again and fitness for a month. I've lost a stone. I feel amazing. My clothes are fitting better. My mental health has improved no end. I'm not drinking as much because I don't have to, because I'm not down. And then it's a circle, and
Yeah.
things like the way that, like, you can get into a very negative vicious cycle. It's so easy taking
Positive
them
cycle.
baby steps again to get into a positive
Yeah.
one. But
Yeah.
but why do we stop? This is what I don't get. As someone who suffers, I can get, like, the amount of times I've sat here and said to someone, I feel amazing. I've lost X amount of weight. I've packed the ale in a little bit. I'm still having a bevy, but I'm not smashing it all the time. I'm, confident, blah, blah, blah. And I always think I wouldn't swap this for the world, this feeling. I'm not going back. Why do we always tend to go back? Not always. I'm not saying everyone does, but why do you think it, we can't hang on to these feelings of, like, wellness? But what do you
I
think it is
honestly
that
don't
makes?
know. I think we naturally, human nature is we tend to self-destruct, don't we? I don't know
Yeah,
why we do, but we just tend to, don't we?
yeah.
But then also, John, I keep on going to call you Tom. I honestly don't know.
Subscribe to
Uh,
Airtime Tom, by the way.
but also, there's been times in the past, a few years ago, God, what are we talking? It was just after me 30th. I don't know if you remember when I lost loads of weight. I think I got down to 12 stone.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
looking back on photographs, I looked really thin. And I think at the time I come obsessive with it at that point. And, I was in the gym maybe 7 days a week. And I
yeah.
was
Too
like,
much.
I just what. And to me at that point, I got obsessive. So now I'm actually, I think I'm doing really well. I'm not giving myself as much of a hard time. I'm doing my jogging. I'm eating a little bit healthy and cutting down a little bit, but I'm not being obsessive this time. I've not
Yeah,
been weighing myself this time, but I know I'm losing weight because people are saying to me, "Oh yeah, you look like you've lost weight there, Mark. This shirt that I've got on now, it's normally tight on me, but I've got it up there so you can't see it bulging. no,
his
no,
belly's hanging
but
out the
no,
bottom.
it's a belly top. No, it's a lot better fit. So by your clothing and stuff. So I
Yeah.
know I don't have to weigh myself. I'm not getting obsessive this time.
It's
But
funny you
yeah,
should say obsessive, because I've just said on my weight loss video, which I uploaded earlier, check it out. I've just said then it's like, it's about not becoming obsessive, because you think becoming obsessive and making it your world is going to yield better results, but it doesn't, because it just makes you miss other things. You need a
yeah.
moderative. You need a lifestyle of moderation, don't you? And that.
It's like people say don't use the word diet because it implies on you sort of losing out on things and taking things out that you enjoy.
Yeah, yeah. Deprivation.
Again, yeah. But I don't know the answer to why
There's
we
no,
do it, John. But
th-
it's something that we all do, isn't it?
yeah,
And we know the benefits, but we don't always follow
yeah.
them benefits, do we?
We don't, but we should. But you know what? As long as you never give up, you can always try again, can't you? That's the main thing.
Well, this is it, mate, and that's the right mindset to have when we're talking about, like, in the past when when I've gave up on doing my exercise, I start giving myself a hard time then, and
Yeah.
it's this negative thought process. Oh, you've gave up again. You're a failure. You should, you're fat. You're this. You're that. But now I'm really good at challenging my negative thoughts, and now I'll say, oh, do you know what? I fell off the wagon for a few weeks. I haven't exercised for a few weeks, but I'm going to start again now, and I'm going.
Yeah.
I've done it before. I can do it again. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
That's funny that,
So
mate, because what you've just said is brilliant there about challenging negative thoughts. Because I mean, we'd be here all night if we spoke about different umbrellas under mental health, but negative thoughts is a massive one, isn't it, for people? Where
yeah,
that little voice, that voice inside your head will tell you that you're not good enough, or tell you that you're ugly, or tell you that you're fat, or tell you that you're going nowhere in life. Like, what sort of advice would you give to like any of the viewers watching this that struggle with negative thoughts?
well, seeing as you've just plugged your video, I've actually done a video on this on our Life Rooms YouTube channel. So if you search Life Rooms, there's actually a video there called "Challenging Negative Thoughts." If you did I say if you search the Life Rooms then?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So search Life Rooms, you'll
I'll
see a
put any
load of
links, mate,
videos.
in. I'll put any
Yeah,
links
yeah,
in.
yeah. But there's one called Challenging Negative Thoughts. But it's something that I'm actually really good at now, to be honest, John. Challenging my negative thoughts. I think one thing so I love me metaphors. So one of the things that I learned when I was sort of researching into this is as humans, we have over 70,000 thoughts a day. And we don't choose them thoughts, they just come into our heads. But what we tend to do, and we might have loads and loads of really positive thoughts, but we cling on to them negative thoughts. So the sort of metaphor that someone said to me once, and I love it, is if you imagine your negative thoughts like the autumn leaves. So in autumn, all the leaves start falling, don't they? And they're just all the way across your pathway or whatever. And what we tend to do is we just let the leaves sort of flow away. We don't cling onto one leaf, do we? Say, I'm keeping this leaf, I'm keeping
Wow.
this leaf, like we
Yeah.
do with our negative thoughts. So now what I try to do when I'm having a negative thought, I'll say, you know what, that's just another leaf in me sort of pathway of leaves. I'm just gonna let that sort of, the metaphor I try to picture of it is putting that leaf on a canal. And what happens if you put a leaf on a stream or on a canal? Just flows away, doesn't it? So I know that might sound a
But
bit.
yeah, no, I'm nearly crying here. That's lovely.
No,
I've never heard that.
I think I love me metaphors, mate. But that for me really helped me. And the video that I spoke about, I talk about like playing detective with your thoughts. It's something that when I first started doing this, I started keeping a thoughts diary. So if I was having negative thinking, I'd write the thought down, and then I'd say, well, let's find the evidence for it. So a lot of our thoughts, it could be mind reading. So it could be like, John thinks I'm an idiot. So I'd write that down, and then
Yeah.
I'd go, well, where's my evidence? What's John done
Wow.
to suggest that I'm an idiot? And I'd write down, or catastrophize. There's a whole sort of list of types of negative thoughts. So it could be that mind reading that I've just said. It could be catastrophizing, overgeneralizing, saying things like I should have done this, or I shouldn't have done that. I could have done this and I could have done that. And what I'd start doing is I'd write down and start categorizing these sort of thoughts, and like the evidence and sort of what's the likelihood that thought is true.
Yeah.
And now I've got so good at it, I can actually do it in my head now. If I
Yeah.
could get a negative thought now, and I could say, you know what, Mark, where's the evidence? Blah, 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 and I'd let the thought go. I know
That's
that
amazing.
sounds really like
No, it doesn't. It
it,
sounds fantastic. To be honest with you, mate, I've got quite good at doing that, but I've never thought of it as like thought detective. I think that's brilliant. I
yeah.
think that's something really, really like valuable. You know, if anyone can take away something, just the last 5 minutes there have been absolutely, mate, thanks so much. Because I think that the leaf metaphor and like being a detective of your own thoughts is spot on.
Well, the detective thought, it was from a book called, and the brilliant books, it's by a doctor called Dr. Chris Williams. It's called Living Life to the Full. And it basically, it follows like the CBT model, cognitive behavior therapy,
Yeah.
but it sort of, it breaks it right down, so it's really easy to understand. And I think in one of his books it said about playing detective, and going back to what you said earlier on about sort of, when I'm sort of delivering sessions and trying to make things fun, I sort of brought that in as a bit of a like, okay, let's get your magnifying glasses out and let's I make a bit of a joke of it, and that's what
The
I
drama
do in the
coming in
video.
again.
Yeah, and that's what I do in that video. I talk about being a detective. I suppose I am plugging the videos now, but
You
what
should
happened with
do,
the
mate.
life
That's
rooms?
great.
Well, what happened with the life rooms is when we shut down, we obviously, a big part of our service is engaging with our members. And how can you engage with someone when the doors are shut? How can we interact with them?
Yeah.
So what we've done is we created this YouTube channel, and I think we started off, it was about 4 days after we shut our doors. We got a filmmaker down, and we created these. They were really basic videos. We'd just be sat in front of a whiteboard, talk about depression, talk about like tips for how to deal with lockdown, what things to do and stuff like that. But over the time, we did, because we were shut and we weren't sort of, we had a bit of budget left to what we'd spend like sort of normally. We got this filmmaker back and we got more confident, and we started making all different, different films.
Yeah.
And I joke and say I'm a failed actor, but in those like 6 months, we done a mock soap opera, we done an infomercial, we done like scenarios, and it was bringing them acting skills back. I
Yeah.
joke I'm a failed actor, but the reality of it is everything that I learned in acting and then becoming a drama teacher, I use day in, day out in the industry I'm in now. Like, but yeah, check out the videos. I'm not just saying that they're really good. There's another one about self-esteem that I've done, and again, we were a bit more creative. We done like a scenario where it was about being kind to yourself and not being cruel to yourself. So we done like this mock-up video of sort of me going on a date with myself and sort of
remember
saying,
that
"Oh,
one,
you're gorgeous, you're lovely, you." But yeah, check the videos out. All you've got to do is search life rooms in YouTube, and I think there's 120 videos. Can I just say, John, a bit light-hearted again? It will also, if you watch the first video, I think I've got a perm, and in the space of 6 months, I don't know if I was going through a midlife crisis or what, but my hairstyle changes in every video. So the first one, I think I've got a perm, then I've got a big bushy beard, then I've got a mohawk and a beard, and I think the last one's I'm like totally bald and no beard, like so. It's like that midlife crisis during lockdown, no barbers. What shall I do next?
We all had different crises, didn't we, during that lockdown? But no,
I don't remember you having different hairstyles though, John.
All right, mate. Keep it nice.
Sorry, I had to get
on my
a
show, mate. You're on my show. No, but what I'll do is I'll get the links off you when we wrap up tonight, and I'll include them all in here, because I would recommend anyone going to watch them, because I'm sure you can tell by just watching this. Mark's got a great personality, and the videos are really funny. I would definitely check them out. But
not just me as well, by the way. We've got loads of great staff who work for us, and they've created loads of videos. And there's also cooking videos on there. There's exercise videos. There's a whole wide range of videos. But yeah. Definitely check out, because that was one thing, when you said about doing this podcast, and you've asked me about the life rooms. I know that you've got people who view this from all over the UK, and I'm guessing internationally as well. And I was thinking, I want them to know that there's stuff out there for them. On our website, we've actually got a learning platform that people can sign up for and do some of our courses at their own leisure. So it'll be like all the resources that we use in the classes. So things about like the vicious, we talk a lot about like the vicious circle, and they can actually go on and do that themselves. So, don't worry if you're not within the Liverpool area. There's loads of, people can still access our service, but there's loads of great services across the UK. And
it's just looking, isn't it, mate? It's just looking. And sometimes, I said before, I can't remember who I said it to. That it might have been Craig Toy, or it might have been you. But I thought tonight, podcasts, it's quite hard to get people to watch them. I'll be honest, mate. I'm not a massive channel anyway. I don't have like massive viewing figures. I've got a very loyal following of people who watch, but my viewing figures aren't great. But I did say, I said on the video earlier, actually, I said, look, if you watch one of my videos this year, make sure it's this one, because I just know how many people are suffering. And with the added, stress of lockdown, people are still, they might have been in a bad place before lockdown, but now they've gone back so much. Some people that, you know, they
Yeah,
might
yeah.
have been getting somewhere and then lockdown has completely thrown them back. I know people personally that it has. I was
Oh,
just,
most definitely, mate. And you know, again, people don't give themselves credit for surviving lockdown. You know, where people will say like, "Oh, I had a real blip at my mental health, and I don't know why." And I'll say, "I do. You just had 18 months in isolation. You haven't seen your family as
yeah,
much, and you know, we don't give ourselves that credit. It's been tough for everyone." So give yourself that sort of, "Do you know what, I've done actually really well there.
yeah.
I've survived it. You know, I've sort of struggled through it, and I've got to the other side of it."
Yeah.
But what we do, we give ourselves a hard time. You know, where we
Well, it's that
compare
thing about
ourselves to
it's
others.
that thing. It's focusing on the negatives again, isn't it? You know, instead of
Yeah,
looking at
yeah,
the
no.
positives. But obviously, mate, I don't want to keep too much of your time tonight because obviously I know you've got work and stuff tomorrow. But I've just got a couple more things I want to touch on. So, just talking about lockdown, would you say that you have seen an increase in, you know, people that are coming to the life rooms now?
Well, it's a tough one because we're doing a lot of at the moment, our doors are, well, the semi-open. We're open, but by appointment only. And there's quite a lot of restrictions in place because we are NHS. But come October the 4th, we will be reopening as we'll still have some restrictions in, but we're opening the doors as normal and people can just start coming in.
Yeah,
So it's been hard for us to measure early. We've had a lot of people attend our Zoom sessions, but my worry with that during the whole of lockdown, because a lot of people went to Zoom and technology has been really great. We've been wanting to do stuff online as a service for years, but
yeah,
because we're so busy with the day-to-day, we never got round to it. And within sort of something that probably would have took us 6 months, maybe longer, we created this old YouTube channel online offer within six.
yeah.
Well, the videos was within days, but the
It was a
actual
case of
learning
having to,
platform
wasn't it?
was within 6 months. Yeah, but my worry is the people who don't have internet access, because believe it or not, there's still a lot of people who don't have internet at their home. I
Mm,
see people, people phone up every day. They can't afford to pay their internet bill. They mightn't have the equipment. So what about all them people? Where did they go during lockdown for sort of company? We were very lucky in our service. We created something called Check-in Chat, and it was a team of volunteers, and basically people who were sort of suffering with struggling with, like, feeling isolated and stuff. We actually had we buddied them up with a volunteer, and they'd phone them up daily or weekly or whatever they agreed with the person. And it was just a case of phoning someone up and just checking in with them. How are you?
yeah.
What have you been up to? Did you watch the football? Could be anything. But
Mm.
that can make a difference to people who, if you're just in your house and you sort of you've got no family or friends, just having that phone call or interaction with anyone can make a massive difference to you.
Oh, 100%, mate. 100%.
I'm
Again.
gonna go.
No, go
Sorry,
on,
mate.
mate.
Go on.
No, go on.
I was gonna say I'm gonna go off track completely now, and sort of have a bit of a rant. But this is why I don't agree with self service checkouts in supermarkets.
Yeah.
As you know, John, my very first job was work for Quick Save, and I remember like
Half,
the
half the
pension.
people watching this won't know what quick save is.
Quick Save supermarket. It was a supermarket,
Yeah.
no frills supermarket.
Yeah.
But we used to have a lot of old people coming in, and my personality, I'd say, "Oh, hello, love, you're okay? How are you?" Blah blah. And I'd invest a little bit of time in them, and I know it sounds silly, but I knew I'd make a difference in that old person's day. And now, most shops you go to, they don't have the normal checkouts on,
No, they
and
don't
they
know.
expect these pensioners to go and use it. Well, first off, they may struggle using the checkout. And second, I didn't think we'd be talking about checkouts today, John. But where's that interaction for that person who may have lost all the family? And it does
Yeah. Well,
it breaks my
sadly, mate,
heart a bit. Like,
it does. No, I totally, I know, and you've been saying this for years. I remember like you talking about how it was going to change the sort of experience of supermarkets, but it's a sad thing, but it's not going to change because it's like we used to chat about the way, you know, your mum or your nan or, you know, your auntie or whatever would go down the shops and they'd have a chat with the butcher, they'd have a chat in like the newsagent, they'd have a chat in the whatever shop, you know. And then I think when supermarkets took over, that a lot of that changed anyway because there was less interaction. You were getting everything in one place. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
But now,
definitely.
as you say, it even that's going now because I know as a majority like self-service now, and you've even got the conveyor belts, but that's a self-service. So I put my stuff on the other week, and I thought, oh, it's a person. I was just daydreaming. I looked up, and it was self-service. So it's like, you know, they are taking over. But yeah, that's way off topic. That.
Join us on airtime, John, when we discuss supermarket checkouts.
Comments.
They're going to go up here, mate.
What are your pet hates about your local supermarket? Comment below. Right, well, mate, do you know what? What I'd like to do is, if you had any advice or sound bites or anything for anyone who's currently thinking that they might be suffering with their mental health, what would you advise them to do? Like, you know, if it's a big question, that, mate, isn't it? But if
I think my first go-to would be, don't bottle things up. You know, reach out. There's, honest to God, there's loads of services out there. You know, just reach out, talk to someone, be anyone. You know, it's hard when you talk about sort of who you can talk to, because, you know, obviously you can go to your GP, you might have friends and family. For me, like, sort of, even with you, John, like, I've had like sort of anxiety issues and that, but although I know I can talk to you about it, I get more comfort talking to sort of in my sessions than talk to you. And although I'm an advocate for talk to someone, find what works best for you. You know myself, I've got a great family, but I don't talk about sort of my issues with anxiety with my family. Not that they wouldn't listen, they'd more than listen, they'd support me left, right and centre. But it's just because, for me, I feel more comfortable talking to people in a classroom environment, or in a more relaxed environment, or someone who doesn't know me sort of really personally. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that could be anyone. It could be, you know, your GP. It could be your, you know, a priest. It could be anyone, or it could be your relatives. Or there's loads of organisations out there. I tell you what's a really good app for someone, John. Actually, it's called the Hub of Hope, run by an organisation called Chase. The Hub of Hope. I can't say my H's properly.
I was going to say, mate, not everyone's from Liverpool. Slow it down.
The Hub of Hope.
There you go.
But with H's. But it's run by an organisation called Chasing the Stigma. And basically it's an app, and you download the app, and it's UK wide. You put in like your local area and what support you need, and it'll come up with loads of organisations that can support you. Sort of. So that's a really good app. But yeah, I think the advice would be, John, is don't bottle things up. Reach out. You know, start talking. Yeah. That idea what we spoke about before. You know, challenging your negative thoughts. I think one thing I do is say to people that start loving yourself again. You know, I think one of my issues, John, and again, I've not really spoken to you about this. I think, although I come across as a confident person, sometimes people might say I'm even cocky, but I've had self-esteem issues, and I think what it stems back to, I actually went to a really good school, as you know, quite an academic school, but I always felt to feel when I was in school, because I was in the bottom set for everything, I always felt that I was the thicko and I was the class clown, and I played to that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? I think a lot of my sort of thing is about that self-esteem, and that's why I question a lot of things, and I will say, well, what do they think of me, and that. So yeah, but for me, it's about loving yourself, making sure, you know, not you are deserving to things. So don't, you know, a lot of the times we will say to ourselves, I'm not worthy of that. I shouldn't be treating myself to this. No, you should, you know, within reason. Obviously, don't go and blow all your wages on stuff. But yeah, you know, but we've got to start loving our. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. I'd have no money at all. We'd finish college on a Thursday, and he'd say, "Hey lad, are you coming out on Thursday? Are you coming out?" And I'd be like, I can't afford it. My student loan doesn't come in till throw caution to the wind, you'll be all right." So, and I used to come in, because back then, like, you had to wear like smart shoes and stuff like that when you went out. And I'd turn up, and if I had my trainees on, he'd be gutted, because he'd be like,
I'd be sulking.
Yeah. Or if I turned up in a pair of jeans and, like, you know, like a sensible pair of shoes, you'd be like, yes, he's coming.
Yeah. But there was a few times when you did turn up in your trainees, and you'd end up like getting your dad to drop off your smart kecks. We used to wear kecks then, didn't we, when we went out?
I actually used to sometimes wind them up intentionally. I'd say, do us a favour, Dad, drop these pants off and this pair of shoes, just so I could wind Mark up and say, I'd be all day, not going out. You go, oh, lad, oh, you said you were coming out, you're not. Right, mate, before we go, I've got one question here off Sam Costello, or as I call him, Frank Costino, and it is, question for Mark, have you ever found that cases of depression can occur without a particular cause?
Yeah, I think so. I think sometimes it's, I don't know, it's that thing like that I said earlier on. Like it might be about playing detective sometimes, but people might think, oh God, well, I feel depressed, and what's caused it? There mightn't be a reason. Sometimes we do just feel depressed, don't
Just a
we?
bit fed up,
But
yeah.
yeah. But I think, because we don't sort of play detective with these thoughts or feelings, sometimes it could be something like the lockdown. You might be saying to yourself, well, why am I depressed? Nothing's really changed, but actually the world's changed, society's changed.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's quite a complex question, that, because
I think the point. I think Noah, Sam, I think the point he's trying to say is, is there always a need, or sorry, is there always a the way like my mum's passed away, you could easily go into a depression over that. I think the point he's trying to make is can it just occur out the blue? You can be fine one day, and then next thing you can just be in a real bad way. Does that happen?
I think it can, yeah, but it's like it's not one size fits all with sort of mental health, is it? So everyone's different. We talk about depression, but even everyone's sort of, when
He's gone.
and someone's depressed, people's behaviours that people will often talk about is, sorry, but did I freeze then, did I?
Yeah, you froze.
Sorry,
have you paid the bill?
It's saying my internet connection is unstable. The thing people talk about when they'll say, oh, they're depressed, they might be isolating, they might be avoiding, they might be sort of typically down. But some people's depression is the total opposite of that. People can become like elated when they're depression. They might sort of have risk-taking behaviours. They might have disjointed thinking, a disjointed thought process, sort of pressure of speech. I suppose I'm talking more about. Yeah. So everyone's sort of behaviours and symptoms are different. So, it's not one size fits all. So it's a good question, but I don't think we're ever going to have an answer to it. I could say to you now,
please stand by. He needs to get a better internet, doesn't he? Have you got any recommendations?
That happens a lot in our sessions. Something, is it biological to suffer with depression in our children, mate? Ever froze?
Yeah,
God, it was going so. It was going so well, wasn't it?
Yeah, I've just sung Bohemian Rhapsody, mate, while you were frozen.
I'm glad I missed that.
Yeah, no, but what you were saying anyway is that it's a massive question to answer, and there is no definitive answer. Essentially, is that's the whole point. Is that it can come out the blue, or it can it can be a result of triggers or your past or anything. It's many things. And you know what? I think I'd like to at one point maybe do a follow up to this, because I think doing this, when I did put on Twitter about questions, and I remember as I was doing it, I thought it's a big thing to ask that, because there's not many questions that you can really ask without knowing the setup. I think that this will prompt questions, maybe, you know what I mean? So maybe like in a few months we can look at doing a follow-up maybe. But honestly, mate, I can't thank you enough. It's been absolutely amazing to just sit down and chat with one of my best mates, and just get a professional opinion as well. Someone that's been there, someone that's done it, someone that's continuing to fight for the cause. So thank you so much, mate, and I hope you've enjoyed it as well.
I've loved it, John. It felt like it's been 10 or 15 minutes. It has been so quick, but we have actually talked about quite a lot, haven't we? It's gone really quick, like, as well. But I'd love to do a follow up, mate. I think Yeah, I think it's been really good, and yeah, I think we probably could have got a 2 or 3 part out of this if we wanted to. Like
it's like I said to you before, before I start these things, I'm always quite nervous because, as you know, I don't do these podcasts. This is only the 3rd one I've done, so I'm still trying to find my levels, my skill, if you like, in being a presenter or an interviewer or whatever you want to call it, podcaster. But yeah, I honestly believe that we could have spoke for hours about this tonight. But obviously, you've got work tomorrow, and gives us somewhere to go in the future. It gives time for people to digest what's being said. Maybe actually think, oh, I identify with that, or that made sense to me, or I don't actually agree with that. So anyway, anything that you've got from tonight, let us know in the comments. Any thoughts, anything that's been brought up for you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put all of the links in. Whenever Mark mentions something, that there should have been a link there. If not, it will be in the description box, so check that out. And I've got nothing else to say, mate, apart from thank you again so much. I really, really appreciate it. And I know that a lot of people will get so much from this tonight.
Oh, no worries. It's been great, John, and I hope people do. And as I say, I'm on Twitter and I follow your Twitter and that. So if there is any questions, I'll be on Twitter and be able to tweet people as well.
One.
Myself.
Nice one,
brilliant, mate. Thank you.
One thing before I go, right? Many people that are watching this mightn't realise that you've actually been on the channel before. So you need to go and check them out. We've done an Alton Towers vlog, haven't we? And we've done Sandcastle in Blackpool.
Sandcastle,
which was like a day vlog. But the big question is when are you coming back on the channel?
Well, I'm on the channel now. You know what? I love the channel. Like I'm not an enthusiast, as it were, but I do actually love the channel. But it's so when we're out and about and you've started recording, as soon as the camera's on me, I just either giggle or I do something silly, or it's like you're. I see you in Kirsty's one. She's a proper giggler, isn't she? She like giggles and sort of it's weird. And as you know, I'm used to having a camera in front of me, like with work and stuff that we've done in the past and stuff. But it just throws you when you're out and about. But my favourite videos of yours, John, are you sort of your run of the mill sort of when you're just having like a lazy day and you're going to post a parcel or something. You go to Tesco's for a bit of meat or something. What was the one the other week where you were the other month where you couldn't find fish fingers or something in 5 supermarkets that you went to? I love them ones the best. I just think that
top quality content there. I do believe that you're referring to when we went looking for corn burgers.
It was, but I just loved the.
It was proper Alan Partridge, that wasn't it? Like,
but I think that's what I love about them, because like me and John are both comedy fans, aren't we? But most of them videos, it's like Alan Partridge, that episode where when he goes for like the petrol station for. I forget what he buys oil or a window screen wiper, and he's walking along. Tungsten, yeah, it just reminds me of that. But even in your video the other week, when the dog was scratching himself or something, and I can't even remember what you said, but I thought you said to the dog, "Stop playing with yourself" or something. But you hadn't. I'd misheard it. But I just love them sort of the videos.
They are fun. They're real fun to film. I've been quite honest on the channel, like and said, I'll still do theme park vlogs, but I think that there's a sort of a limit of what I can do with them, because I can't really travel. I don't have the money at the minute to travel all over, and I'm loving doing these sorts of things as well, and I'm also loving doing like the weight loss stuff. And for me, I think I'd love to appeal to a general audience as opposed to just one. I'll always have the theme park, a passion and stuff, but I think I'd like to just do a bit of everything, because it keeps it fresh, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's like
yeah. But even for these videos, John, so I know we're trying to keep you talking, but I don't know what your viewing figures are like or whatever, but even if you've got 50 people who watch this and it helps 3 people, and same with the weight loss videos, it might just be one person who, might be struggling with the weight.
I will say
that little bit of.
I will say the weight loss stuff and this obviously, you'd be lying. You do like people to watch the videos because, it's not just like, it's not, I think people think it's an ego thing or a validation thing. It's also, you put a lot of hard work into it, and sometimes it can be a little bit, I do quite well, I think, for a small channel, but it's like the informal ones, or the ones where I'm reaching out for a specific reason, i.e. weight loss or depression, I never ever I don't worry about them. I always say, as long as it helps one person, and the amount of people, Mark, who inbox, when I do stuff like this, it's really amazing. It's really touching, and it makes it all worthwhile for me. It really does. So yeah. Anyway, mate, have you had your tea tonight?
Yeah. Like the mum from the royal family. What did you have? Yeah, I had burgers and wedges.
Nice. I'm gonna have mine soon. But one
What
thing
are you having?
I promise I will end this vlog in a minute. But one of the best lines you said about the royal family is where Sheridan Smith comes, and it turns out that she's a vegetarian. And Nana, Nana, who's now passed away, sadly, she goes, "Can she not have wafer thin ham, Barbara?" Best line ever. Best comic line, I think, ever. But anyway, mate, listen, go and get yourself a nice cup of tea and get yourself an early night. Thank you again so much for coming on. And yeah, thank you for watching. Really appreciate it. Don't forget to leave your comments. Don't forget to like, dislike, subscribe if you haven't already, and press that notification button if you want to be... I've done it. I thought I was so close to doing it then. And press the bell button if you want to be notified when I do future uploads. I'm getting better, Mark. I'm getting better. Right.
Can I do the sign off?
What?
Can I do the sign off? Remember when I suggested the catchphrase for you?
Go on,
so when John wanted to have a sign off, I wanted this catchphrase to be "Ta-ra, ta-ra," I said. Oh.
Yeah, it never really
well,
took off.
I'm going to tell you the story behind it. Me and my partner Emma go to bingo, don't we? And the bingo caller actually uses that as a sign off. He says, "Ta-ra, ta-ra," I said it. I always found it funny. But I've started doing it around the house, and I've got a 2-year-old daughter, as you know, John. And she started going, "Ta-ra, ta-ra," I said. So I just, when she done it this morning, and I thought, I'll have to mention that to John when I tried to get that as his catchphrase.
Is the baby all right, mate? Yeah?
Yeah, she's great, mate. Yeah. She's being sent out tonight, though, so I can do this podcast with you.
He's just sent a 2-year-old out. Just go. Get out.
She's staying in her nan's with her mum tonight.
Oh, lovely. Well, send me love to the family, mate. And thank you again for watching. And I will see you soon on another episode of In Conversation with Airtime John. Thank you very much, Mark Bell.
Ta-da!
Ta-da!
Ta-da, I said!